had a conversation with Mr. Zine today sometime?
I have not.
Okay, because this is one that he had expressed a concern before or at the end of council as to whether they maxed out in the sense of positions. Let me make sure I'm not making a mistake. Because the last conversation I had with him is that he had expressed a concern. Is that accurate on the positions?
It may be accurate on the positions, but they're not. Ellis Lyons Personnel Department. The department is not, DWP is not requesting the exemptions under that provision of the charter, which is specifically for the proprietary departments. They are asking for 2 of the 150 that we use for all of our special management scientists.
And where are we on that cap?
We are at 100, so if theirs are approved, we'll be at 102.
Okay. Because my conversation with Mr. Zine is that he, at least the way I understood it, has spoke with someone at Department of Water and Power and had agreed on one of the 2. I mean, are you aware of that?
I am not, sir, no.
And is Dennis, anybody from Dennis staff? Did I get the right item number?
The charter provision, as I understand it, for the proprietaries is near its limit, and the proprietaries occasionally requested under the 150 citywide. And he has expressed concerns, and there was a time at which they were approaching the 150 limit, but as I understand it, there's about 40 that are still available now. So as long as the city is still below that 150 limit, he's generally supportive.
All right, because when I talked with him, I thought he was agreeable to one of the 2.
I think if it was in consideration of the 15 limited for the proprietaries, of course, because then we wouldn't want to exceed that limit.
So with that information, this is part of the 150, not part of the 15.
That's correct.
We'll move that item. Thank you.
Thank you.
I couldn't speak the part on the side.
On 2, I'm sorry, you're Carrie McCorkle?
Yes.
Could the staff hold tight until we get this comment card? Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Kerry McCorkle. I'm a Local 18 business representative, and I'm here representing Department of Water and Power employees, Local 18 members who would be adversely impacted by this particular motion. The department has never informed Local 18 of its intent to request approval for these 2 exempt project coordinator positions. Local 18 only found out on March 9th, 2009 due to a vigilant Local 18 member providing us the details of this particular motion. I immediately contacted Michelle Nagin's office on March 9th, 2009 to inform her that Local 18 objected to these proposed positions and requested to meet and discuss further on this matter. I was not able to speak personally with Ms. Nagin until March 11th. She informed me that she was unable to meet with me until 11 days later, which was March 20th. I did meet with Ms. Nagin, and she did admit that she'd been working on this matter since November or December of 2008. I informed her that it was Local 18's position that this work is bargaining unit work, and declared to her which classifications were impacted.
What type of work?
Pardon me?
I want you to repeat what you said. What type of work is it?
This is bargaining unit work. This is work that Local 18 members have been capably performing since the neighborhood councils were created. I requested to Ms. Nagin that the department pull this item from the agenda today so that Local 18 would have an appropriate amount of time to meet and confer with the department to discuss and resolve Local 18's issues. I was also asked to be provided a detailed list of duties and responsibilities for these proposed positions. Ms. Nagin declined Local 18's request to pull this item from the agenda, and she also stated that Rose Garcia would follow up with me due to Ms. Nagin's scheduled vacation this week. On the morning of March 23rd, I hadn't heard yet from Ms. Garcia, so I sent an email to Ms. Nagin to inform her that I had not heard back from her yet. I finally did Monday get a chance to speak to Ms. Garcia, and she basically reiterated exactly what Ms. Nagin had told me on Friday. So I informed Ms. Garcia at that point that unless the item was pulled, Local 18 would be here today to protest these particular positions and inform the committee That is our intent to file a grievance if these positions move forward. And also, it's our intent to file an unfair labor practice against the department for their refusal to meet and confer with Local 18 over these positions. So I did finally get notice yesterday that Ms. Garcia said that the department wasn't going to pull these positions. So I'm here to report that Local 18's position is that these proposed positions do constitute Local 18 bargaining unit work. Local 18 was denied the opportunity to meet and confer with the department to discuss our concerns in a timely manner, and Local 18 does continue to request that these positions be pulled and the department be directed to meet and confer with Local 18 so we'll have an opportunity to resolve our issues. So I do greatly appreciate your time, attention, and consideration.
Can I ask the apartment rep come back up? Sure. Could you respond to the issues that were just articulated by the union rep?
Mr. McCorkle is correct that the department did not engage them early on in the process. About a week ago, or I would want to say early last week, Michelle did meet with Carrie McCorkle and explained that these duties were limited in scope. And while I think there's 3 primary duties that this project coordinator would be doing, while one of those duties is one of 20 that is done by our, what they call utility services, our old utility marketing reps. Class still exists, it's just changed titles.
Saying these are more narrowly defined than those?
Absolutely more narrowly defined. They are directly involved in being a face of the department at all the neighborhood council meetings. They're not speaking to the issues that the USSs do speak to. They're facilitating a speaker for the neighborhood councils. So that while they'll be at the the neighborhood council meetings, they'll ask for a speaker on water conservation. Then this person will facilitate getting a speaker, which might be a USS, to come speak to the neighborhood councils on that issue. They're facilitating what the USS will actually be doing.
Now, these are, 2 positions that used to be another classification, you reclassified them, and now they're exempt? Or are
No.
these 2 brand-new
These are
positions?
2 brand-new positions. We have not had a face at all the neighborhood council meetings, which these particular positions we're trying. We have an MOU with the neighborhood councils, and that's what we agreed to do, is have positions assigned to do this type of work for them.
And on the, what is the department's response regarding the issue of meeting and conferring or taking bargaining work away from the unions?
We don't believe it's bargaining unit work, and the department did meet, not early on, we did meet last week. I found out about it on Friday, and as a result, since Michelle Nagan was leaving out of town, she asked me to contact Carrie McCorkle. He did email me Monday morning. I sent him the MOU that we had with the Department of Neighborhood and Council. And I also sent him the limited scope of duties that these 2 positions would be doing, which are 3 duties, one of which is a duty that's mentioned not in the class spec nor in the DDR for the USS positions, but are duties that some of the USSs in some of the divisions, one of 20 things that they might do.
And then, so it's the department's position that this is not bargaining work because of the more specific duties, and that it is not a meet and confer item to create these positions?
That's correct.
Okay. And there's a timeline on this particular decision, and what is that timeline? These have to be done by a certain date? Pardon?
April 1st.
April 1st. What is the April 1st date?
I'm not aware of I'm not aware of a timeline.
Okay, who said
So
April 1st?
somebody knows of a timeline.
It's whenever something is submitted to the council for action, they either accept it or reject it, send it back to the department for action.
Okay, but what is the April 1st?
Actually, if I may clarify that,
The deadline? Okay.
it's
so-
based by charter.
Okay.
But we don't have a timeline to have these project coordinators in place, if that's your question.
No, I'm just asking what the April 1st date meant. Okay. We're going to move this item to council for a couple of reasons. One, it appears that there's a disagreement as to meet and confer in the duties, plus to meet this due date. It's the only way that this committee can deal with it. And if there are issues that certainly we don't want to put you in a position of meeting and conferring if there's not a need to, but if there are issues that can be resolved or at least discussed in the interim, when is this expected to be at council?
Next week.
Next week?
We have no problem continuing our dialogue with IBEW.
Thank you.
if I may add, I've done a considerable amount of research on this. I've spoken with my membership who are actually performing these duties as we speak, and I disagree with her assertion that what was provided to Local 18 is very broad. The memo that was presented here to this committee actually spelled out bargaining unit work that was particularly involved. I've submitted all the information that Michelle Nagan gave me and Ms. Garcia gave me to my membership to review and see how many of these particular tasks, especially those that were presented in the MOU from the neighborhood, for the neighborhood councils, between the department and neighborhood councils, and the response that I'm getting from my membership, which isn't just utility marketing representatives, by the way, it's PR specialists and management analysts also are going to be adversely impacted by this particular work, and they have been performing these duties, again, capably ever since the neighborhood councils were formed. So I want to make sure that it's understood that, you know, we dispute the fact that this is narrow in scope.
If we can ask the department with those issues at hand to have something prepared for council so that you
Yes,
can
we will.
share that with council members as to what the department's view on those issues are.
I will.
Thank you. Next item.
Thank you.
The next item.
For item 4, you have an item that has already been to the Housing Committee, and this has to do with,
Are we on 3 or 4?
you approved 3 without discussion?
Wait a minute, maybe I made a mistake. I'm sorry.
Item 3, I believe you said approved on consent?
That's right.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay. So item 4, what you have before you is a CAO report and a report from the Housing Department, and this has to do with a lead-based hazard grant from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and Housing Committee has already recommended approval of the recommendations provided by the CAO.
Let me just ask, on dealing with, and this grant has been around for a while, but one of the things I just wanted to comment on, and it's more of a budget and finance issue, are we going to be able to, over the life of this grant, to address the matching fund issue? One is a 25%, one's a 10%. Will we be able to get out of the business of looking at the matching fund and live on the total resources of the grant?
Yes, we will. As stated in the LAHD transmittal, I believe it was page 5.
Page what?
Let me see, I'm sorry. They will have like partners that will provide
page-
in
what
kind
page are you
cash.
referencing?
Page 6. It's page 6. I'm sorry.
3, 4, 5, 6.
There would be a list of LHD partners that will provide in-kind match for the grants,
And we say in kind, so we're not talking,
not cash.
not cash,
It would be services.
services, and these people are already on board.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
No question.
We'll move that item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to go back to 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, we've moved item 1, 2, and 3, if we get your concurrence.
Okay, concur.
Okay.
Okay, the final item before you is a report for the exemption of 2 second deputy general manager Harbor Department positions, and the department is here to answer any questions you have.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Molly Campbell, Deputy Executive Director at the Port of Los Angeles, and with me today is Mike Christensen, also a Deputy Executive Director at the Port. Dr. Natz unfortunately could not be here. She's in Washington, D.C., representing the Port at the American Association of Port Authorities Conference. We're requesting approval of 2 Deputy General Manager positions at the Harbor Department, both of which would provide the department with some strategic and overall leadership on the legislative affairs area. So we're requesting 2, one having to do with the Senior Director of Legislative Affairs, and the second one, the Senior Director of Communications, both of which have been supported by the Mayor's Office as well as by the Personnel Department.
My only question, just for clarity, much like we discussed on item 2, have you maxed out, it appears from at least the notes, that there are 10 exempt positions between LAWA and the
Port.
Port?
Right, these are falling under the
150.
Correct,
Okay. And so we're well within the 150?
correct.
Okay.
What are we at?
It's it's 104 right now, that this will make it 108, the previous two of these two.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
No questions.
We'll move that item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one public comment, Mr. Hanson.
Yes, I've been researching the water and power hiring practices, and apparently they haven't been complying with provisions of the city charter that specifies that they're supposed to hire people for transfer preferably. And the other thing they haven't been doing, if someone has had advanced in class and wants to transfer back to water and power in that same class, I can find no authorization for them to disallow that person from coming back. So as it looks like, the water and power may have unfunded civil liabilities in the sum of probably several $1 million to employees who were not properly processed when they attempted to transfer to water and power. Thank you.
Okay. Have you reported that elsewhere other than this committee?
I'm doing research. Their copy machine is kind of a pain in the backside. It copies 2 pages at a time. And from what I've read, it's difficult to collate because it's kind of like a loose leaf notebook. And I will be sending a memo to the general manager of the general manager of water and power, so he can alleviate any further liability on the part of the Department of Water and Power in their hiring practices.
Okay, so this is you in the research mode, so you have not identified what those actual violations are?
But so far as I can see, their hiring manual says, in their training manual, they're supposed to hire or interview all qualified persons to make sure they get a good selection. Well, the other thing that specifies in there, it specifies that you're qualified if you're attempting to do a lateral transfer into water and power. Well, water and power has stated in their employment bulletins for transfers for maintenance laborers, we won't accept anybody except as those persons are presently in the class of maintenance labor, and I've been told that they won't take me back as my position as a heavy-duty equipment mechanic because I'm not presently working in that position. That's a prima facie case of liability on the part of water and power, and it will probably be in the age differentiation because the older employees who are attempting to go back to or transfer to water and power and their former classifications aren't being allowed to do so.
Okay. Do me a favor, when you finish your research and you send that letter to the general manager of Water and Power, would you CC Maggie at Personnel Department?
I'll CC her and I'll CC you, sir. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.